Thank you very much. So I can just do this. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Aygul. So I'm based right now in London, but I moved here 3 years ago from Germany. Yeah, let's get started. A little bit for those who don't know me, a little bit about myself. So I am a Google developer expert, so-called GD for Google Assistant. This is, for those who know Alexa ecosystem, this is, I think, something like Alexa Champion. So you pass exams about business sides, coding interviews. So, and this is kind of a people who, so GDs are there. There are, I believe, a couple of, I think there are around 20 people around the world of us. So if a business or brand or just person, just a solo developer needs any help about Google Assistant, we're there to help, obviously for free, voluntarily. I'm also leading Google Developer and Women Tech Maker community here in London. So I'm organizing events, including technical events like hackathons. I'm mentoring on actually branding and Google Assistant side here at the seed stage startup incubator organized by Google here in London called Google Launchpad. And yeah, I'm director of Motorworld. This is New York-based localization company. I used to work for Google back when I was living in Germany. And yeah, I did my PhD in quantum chemistry. The last thing is I'm an international speaker, mostly keynoter. So just these 4 months, I'm doing 22 talks, actually 12 of them, 11 of them in October, which is the hottest month. And they're in 13 different countries. So yeah, to get started, so the conversations around Google Assistant and all this kind of hype around Google Assistant started when Sundar Pichai posted in his blog article that we are currently shifting and in the next 10 years we will be living in the AI first world. And this is so much more than just voice. So obviously you could, dictate your document in Google Doc using voice. You could do that using email and lots of other things. But this is so much more than just recording voice. This is the AI technology which is helping. And this is kind of the next level of voice technology where AI is getting involved. Now, just a little bit about, so some people tell me when I'm, kind of helping them build business around voice technology, that Google Assistant is quite late in the game because Siri was there, for quite some time before Google Assistant was launched. But you have to remember that Google was working on so many underlying technologies like machine learning, speech recognition, and of course artificial intelligence a long time before they launched Google Assistant. So Google has this amazing, a really big base, which is, is at the background and at the base of Google Assistant. So when they came to the market, they had this rich background, which is helping them right now to build and to help developers build this ecosystem. So now, this is my favorite marketer in the world, Gary, just like you mentioned a second ago. So he said actually in one of those interviews that if you are building, doesn't matter your brand or like a product brand or your agency around voice technology nowadays, your brand, your company can grow and reach the size of Pandora, Facebook, Instagram. It can get really big. And we were just talking with one of attendees here just half an hour ago that, do you remember the time where, companies were questioning, I feel old now, but the companies were questioning, like, do I need a website? And then later, they were questioning, do I actually need, to have an iOS app or Android app? So when I see brands questioning, do I need a Google Assistant, action or Alexa skill? That is something that reminds me exactly that conversation, 10 years ago. And of course, my answer is yes. And I personally believe we are not competing here with Amazon, just like, there are people who are using iPhone or an Android. So I would really hope that lots of companies, hopefully, well, all of them, where it suits their needs, will at some point have both skills, actions. So yeah, how voice assistant in general reshaping consumer behavior? So when you are as a brand, think about investing your time, your money into building voice assistant. You always have to think, what will it bring to my brand? Will it bring money? Will it bring new customers? And in fact, just recently, Google, Think with Google, which is the Google marketing blog from Google, they showed the data, they released the data where 62%, which is the amazing number, they actually told that they are ready to buy products through the voice assistant, if it would be possible. So your consumers, they are already out there waiting for you to build action or skill just so that they can actually use their voice speaker in order to buy goods. And this is an amazing number because while it's not 99%, you can imagine that we are still at the very, very early stage. So having more than half of them to wanting that is really amazing. Now, so oftentimes you would hear that the advertisement, newsletter, and all kinds of those deals, they are seen by consumers as spam, as a salesy, something that is, not wished, not wanted. But actually, 52% of people, they are ready and they want to have deals promoted to them through voice speakers. This is again big number. So they're there waiting for you to, maybe send them Christmas promotion, maybe send them, Halloween or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, promotions. But they're not money just because, brands are just not there yet. And the last one, so this one is a little bit not that obvious because people usually ask me that, yeah, well, that's actually not about business. So I think it's actually more about business than the previous two. Because as a marketer, and at Google I was actually working as part of the marketing team, so I'm kind of double-sided. I am a developer, but also a marketer. People who own voice speakers, they actually feel that they're talking to a brand as a friend. And if you think about that, this is the perfect way for you, and I'm meaning this in a completely innocent way, for you to get into their bedroom, or living room, or kitchen, something so intimate, to get as close to your customers as it's possible. So they just need to talk to your brand with voice. They don't need to open laptop or phone or anything. It's right there, waiting. Now, sorry. So, now, why we should care about particularly Google Assistant? Sorry, just went to... Yeah, so now, if you focus on Google Assistant. So I personally believe that Google Assistant has amazing background because the whole Google ecosystem, all the information we should have right now at Google, that includes, of course, Google Search, all the knowledge graph, but also news, Google Sites, Google Hotels, lots of Google Weather. So everything which is out there when you use Google, that is all available to you when you are building action on Google. And this is amazing because you don't need to actually, when you start building, you will see that lots of things are just coming there automatically just because they're part of Google. And here you can see just a few things. So first of all, it's everywhere. So people tell me, yeah, well, Google Assistant is just starting. 2016 is just about 2 years ago, right? But if you see, there are actually lots of devices available there. Actually, more than 500 million devices out there which are using Google Assistant, so Google Assistant enabled. And obviously, all of you saw hardware event from Google on 9th of October, and they just released the new, which I didn't add yet. They released the new Google Home Hub, which is amazing. I personally think, and I already pre-ordered it, but all these devices, including watch, soundbar is amazing, headphones, earphones, car, pretty much everything, they're all voice assistant enabled. And if you have a business, hardware business, here you can also add Google Assistant. You can enable your hardware to be able to talk to, so that your customers can also use Google Assistant to talk to your hardware using so-called Assistant SDK. And there are lots of languages. So almost every month they're adding at least 2 new languages. So this is what is out there, and this is the countries they promised in May to be launched during this year, and they actually kept their promise. So this is where they got kind of new countries just this year. And as you can see, the customers out there, and it's all localized. Now, why Google Assistant is something that will easily bring in new customers? Because it's easy and fun to use. So this is just the stats from again Google I/O, 130,000 hours of children's stories. And this is not half a year. This is not a year stat. This is just, I think, 2 months statistic for just one skill. just for children's stories, which Google Assistant again released at the beginning of this year. So this is something which is a really big number. So as you can imagine, this is something that will hopefully also happen to your brand later. Then Google Assistant is also controlling lots of devices. So this is the photo from which I took at Mobile World Congress. This is the booth which was there and showcasing hardware. So as you can see, pretty much every single light bulb which is out there can be controlled by Google Assistant, and much more. So there are thermostats, there are security cameras, smart doorbells, pretty much every device which is popular. My personal one is this, personal favorite is this Aurora. So this is really cool. You can put it on your wall, didn't buy yet but ordered, and you can actually shape the color of every single tile here, and it can react to music or something else. So as a developer, I'm really looking forward to having developed for this. Yeah, and now Wemo, the Belkin's product series, they actually said that consumers make over 100,000 voice comments every single day through Google Assistant. So as you can see, well, Belkin of course is a famous brand, so even if, but still not, you know, the level of Google. So even if their product is being used that often through Google Assistant, and that is just one of the alternatives methods. This is not the only way to use Vero, as you can imagine. But this is a lot, and that's, you know, the numbers speaks. Now, routines. So as a brand, I think you should focus actually being part of routines. So, anybody here using routines? And you can, I think Alexa also supports routines, so if you're using them on either platform, can you raise hand? Fantastic, okay. Awesome, so basically the routines are really, really useful. And why they're so important for brands? So as you can imagine, if you're a brand who built a product, you should also encourage your users to remember your name, so that they, you know, don't forget to actually use you, let's say every day or every week. But using routines, it's not needed. For example, if you are, let's say, okay, for example, you are at Starbucks. So if user is, you know, likes your application, likes your voice application, they can just add you to one of their routines. The most common ones are, of course, morning routine, evening routine, maybe, you know, commute routine, etc. So what happens here? You can, as a user, add few actions to your routine, and then the moment you say, okay, Google, you know, good morning, all these actions are being used automatically, so they're being triggered completely automatically. So, which means that if a user likes Starbucks and they added Starbucks to the morning routine, then Google Assistant will automatically, let's say, order their usual, you know, which they usually drink in the morning. So as a brand, it's very important for you to aim to get into one of the routines, because that is the key, of course, for you to being used on a daily basis. Or it doesn't need to be daily basis, maybe even a few times a day, or on a weekly basis, but regularly, which is something that lots of brands I have seen struggle with, to actually retain users versus, you know, get them excited, you know, try it once and then, you know, forget. Now, Google Assistant allows people to buy things. That's good, because again, lots of people complain, well, yeah, that's all nice, you know, but I can't really, you know, make money out of that. So here you can actually use payment system, and there is transaction API, which you can really easily add to your Action Google Assistant application. And yeah, and this is just an example which I took at Google I/O earlier this year, where yeah, this is the example how I bought cookie using Google Assistant application. Next, so Google Assistant allows people to book appointments, and this is really exciting because everybody remembers demo about duplets from Google I/O. So this is something that is exciting. And actually, from the last event of Google, from 9th of October, you remember Screen Call, where you can actually also, you know, ask Google to ask, you know, that other company what they want from you. You know, maybe it's a spammer, maybe not. So Google is doing lots of calls and lets you basically call companies or call somebody on your behalf, which is something that is saving a lot of time. And as you can remember, there are two things which is the driving force for businesses to being used. One of them is the content consumer, basically to become content consumers, which is media, which is, reading, those kind of things. And second is to get things done. So this is something that is second. It's not content, it's something that helps people to get things done. So why actions on Google is right for your business? So this is something that is, I know it's lots of text, but I kind of didn't want to spend lots of time on that, but this is something that businesses often ask me. And fair enough. So they come to me and they're like, well, I really want to be a Google Assistant, but I'm not creative. I have no idea how to, bring my business, which is probably something which is, doesn't really feel easily adaptable for voice, how to bring them on the voice platform. So I put here my 10 I wrote them all down at some point, all the businesses I worked with over the whole year. And I took the 10 most popular use cases. So this is real examples from my clients over the past few months. And you can see here that some of them are very kind of obvious, like ordering, buying things, booking services. Some of them are less obvious. For example, you can ask for opening hours. You can ask, control devices. You can use them as guidance, something else. So this is something, or you can even get tips. So one of my personal probably success story, which I'm really excited about, was one of the detergent brands here in the UK. So where they reached out to me and they were like, well, we can't really know that nobody is buying detergent through the Google Assistant, and they're not really like a sexy brand, but really want to be on Google Assistant. So they're still in the process of getting there. But what I recommended them is to launch a cleaning buddy, where they can every day. User can ask, so what should I clean today, and they can just schedule that, okay, today is the day where you wash, towels, and then once a month you do some other cleaning, and then every day you do something else. And this is something that user doesn't feel like it's salesy, like it's, too much promotion, but the brand is always out there. Always, just one word away from them. So I want you to think about it in a creative way. Not always selling, not always asking for address or opening hours, but just step aside, think, look at the bigger picture. What would be useful for a user? Something that, let me buy, the kind of fabric software through the Google Assistant, or let me just launch Google Body, which will help me to make, my house cleaner. Now how to increase reach engagement. So this is, I think, very important. I think that's the last part of my talk, where I want to focus on actually bringing users. Because again, oftentimes, and everything I'm telling you, this is kind of real conversations from real brands over the past year where I was working with all of them. Oftentimes they launch a skill app and then they come to me, they're like, well, nobody is using them, so what should I do now? So you should actually, the work is not done yet when you launched your application. You should actually now start thinking about reach and engagement. And I will only focus on voice-specific ones. Of course, there are like obvious one. Let's localize application to 10 languages and then get more users. That is something you know without me. So I will only focus about voice-specific ones. So first of all, directory optimization. Remember Google Play Store or App Store, you all remember that, there are all these tips about how to place yourself as higher as possible in Google Play Store as an application. But same applies to voice, and people always forget that this is very, very important. Why? Because when sometimes people, they will just, so there is an autocomplete. So if you start typing in this directory, and I will show you an example. So once you start typing here, I believe like 5 or 6 suggestions will be suggested to you, but that's it. So if you're not on those 5, they will need to actually click, but the chances that they will not stop at auto suggestions is really low. So you really want to launch something really good, so that they see you either at the top somewhere here as a suggested or new, or in the autocomplete and the drop down here. That is number 1. Number 2, the action page. So this is very important. I oftentimes see, long description. That is okay for Google Play Store, but you have to remember with the voice application, If person just talking to speaker and they want to learn about you, they can actually ask, so what is this action about? And then Google Assistant will read this, 2-3 pages of your description out to the user, And to not make it overwhelming, you should actually keep your description really keyword rich, but at the same time concise, really short. Image. So I actually suggest icon should be vector graphic and the header image photo, or can also vector, because I also see sometimes icons as a photo. This is actual promotion. So yeah, people sometimes tell me, well, that's all good, but I really want to pay to get placed somewhere up, because there is no way to get paid here to get placed higher. So what can you do? So I have 2 slides of options for you. There are lots of them. So if you use at least a couple of them, that's amazing. So first of all, you can of course promote yourself in the Google search. Then this is the Google network apps. So they can be like any apps. Any websites out there. You can see tons of these apps kind of all over the internet. This is YouTube application. Then you can have also radio advertisement. Then, 3 slides. So KLM, they actually placed Google Home, Google Assistant application right on the front page as a carousel, because it's really, really cool. KLM is really passionate about Google Assistant, and their assistant is amazing. So if you want that best practices, you should check them. So Dunkin' Donuts, they actually released press release. Then we have Logitech, this is the newsletter, also another option to promote. Then we have Philips. So here the difference is, so this is the carousel, and this is the separate landing page. So if people are searching, or maybe it's shared on social media, so this is the separate landing page just for Google Assistant app. And the last one, so BMW, when they released Google Assistant application, they actually had an industry event where they announced that, another option. Then we have Domino's Pizza, where they actually collaborated with Google to release a case study. And 2 more, we can use social media, again, KLM. And we can even place it, as Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant here. You can place it just on the packaging if you are selling hardware, just another option. So there are lots of options out there how to promote your Google Assistant application. So definitely you shouldn't be upset just because you cannot, pay to get put at the top of the directory. And action optimization. So this is a little bit more for developers. How many are here developers? That's alright. So but you have developers at your company. So if you want, you can just take a photo of these links and then kind of send them. So I will really briefly, this is the only slide about development. So I will quickly walk you through that. So building intents, what is it? Imagine, somebody doesn't know about Uber, okay? And then they can still ask Google Assistant, I want a ride from home to the airport, okay? And then Google Assistant will suggest them brands like Uber, Lyft, something else. And so this is something, as a brand, you should aim for. So if you build a brand, user doesn't need to know the name of your brand to be able to use it. So this is different about Google Play, because you actually should install, you should search for it or click on the link, and install the app. But as a Google Assistant app, for example, just a real example, I just developed last week UV index application, because I was giving keynote in Dubai, DroidCon Dubai, and it was really hot. It was plus 54 Celsius. And after that, I started thinking, since I have light skin, I probably need to check UV index all the time. There was no such app, so I developed that. And users, they don't know. I never promoted my app anywhere. And then when I looked at analytics, I started saying that people just say, okay, Google, what is UV index and say Milan? And this way, they without knowing it, they found my app, because it was the only one which was providing this info. So if you do something very niche, very useful, this is something, so this is built-in intent. So it's implicit triggering versus explicit triggering, okay? Subscription models, very cool. So daily updates, this is something, if you provide something daily, let's say cleaning, daily, wash this today, wash this tomorrow. This is daily updates, then push notifications. Let's say I search for a flight which should be, let's say below 500 pounds to Tokyo. And then it's not there. And then suddenly at some point have promotion. So I as a business can provide users, do you want me to notify you if there is something that responds to a search query? At this.
I'm so sorry, I think you're brilliant, so sorry for listening to you. Could you hold the microphone?
I actually don't need microphone if you...
No, this is, and sorry about that. So just we're all used to far-field microphones with Amazon Alexa, but apologies, just hold it there. We've got about 5 minutes to close, but it's a really good talk, and just like that. Sorry, it's really powerful, isn't it?
Is it okay like that? Okay, don't worry. So basically push notifications. So this push notifications, you can actually, when you search for something, and then the result is not there, you as a business can say, can I actually notify you once there is a search result which is corresponding to your search query. This is what it's about. And the last one, remember search routines, the routines? So this is really cool. People, brands ask me, like, how we can actually get there. So if you have a user which used your application twice, you as a brand is allowed, you are allowed to actually suggest, hey, I saw, you kind of keep using my application. Do you want to add it to the, kind of a morning routine or evening routine? And I think that is really powerful because sometimes users, they don't even realize that they can add your application to routine. But this way, you can actually make a little push, to add them to the routine. And this is something the link, again, you all have developers out in your companies. So if they want to implement that, this is the link for you to use. Now, tasks. So Google did research recently on UX, and they kind of studied what people do. This is, I think, really, really important. Again, I see some more just gone weird. Okay. Anyway, so this is for you to understand when to promote, when to suggest, and when to, to kind of push users a little bit to use. So morning, obviously, they start with weather, check traffic, check news. They maybe listen to music on the way to the work. Then they kind of check what other tasks actually out there. Maybe start checking emails, and then those kind of things. And then then there is this kind of separate commute line. And then in the evening they, maybe cook, maybe watch Netflix. Use light bulbs, so those kind of things, maybe smart dishwasher. But this is something that I personally use a lot with my clients because they always ask me, but when should I post on social media about, this application? Or when should I put my advertisement scheduling for? So obviously nobody is scheduling, whether application advertisement for 4 p.m. because nobody cares about that at that particular time. Now, how to measure success? So very important. So people, again, brands are asking me, it's all good, I built it, I, worked on the reach and engagement and everything else. Well, now what? Am I already successful or not? So this is just the overview, so you can actually check in analytics about usage, health, discovery, and directory. You can, check how many 5 stars ratings you've got, how many reviews you've got, and this is the kind of the usage over different periods of time. And you can also get so as an agency, it's nice to kind of have some kind of recognition from Google. So you can actually have those badges, and they are really hard to get. So I believe among all these 20 GEs, just a couple of us got that. So I got with my action 1, and with another action this, and then another GE from Japan got this one, I believe. So they're kind of tricky, but if you get them, you can actually feature them on your social media, just like those brands did. This is the brand, I think from Canada or something, I don't remember. But this is how the recognition looks like. And and then the last slide is just to show this is what's made in the UK. This is the brands, of course not all of them, but kind of main brands which are already adopted Google Assistant, have amazing applications. So if you are looking for inspiration, for local inspiration, this is something that you can use. And I'm really excited that actually Argos just came on board. And Tesco, they're still using kind of additional application, but they're trying, which is good. And that's all. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, you can either ask them now if you have time, or you can find me later. But unfortunately, I won't meet you for Q&A later, so
A big round of applause, please. Thank you, Dr. Aygul. I do apologise for the acoustics there. It is the voice first, and it was something I was having nightmares about last night. But anyway, we'll get there. So, the good thing again, Dr. Aygul's got a dash. I know after Dean's telco panel, he's got a flight to Chicago. Back to the voice portal, voicesummit.co.uk or voice.soundbranch.com. If you log on there, all the speakers are on there. So pre and post conference, during the conference, you can post Q&A using your voice. So by all means, please do utilise that, and that will be part of the experiment. In terms of, we will take a few short questions just now as Lloyd Dean comes to the floor to set up his slide deck. So as Lloyd sets up with Hannah, perhaps we'll just get a few questions.